Hey, welcome! Today we are diving deep into what it really takes to implement the super powerful Sitecore platform. So if you've ever been curious about how a huge enterprise project like this actually gets off the ground, well, you are in exactly the right place.
And honestly, this quote just nails it. It's the perfect place to start. Think about it. Sitecore is this incredibly complex, powerful vehicle, and just jumping in without a clear roadmap? That is a surefire way to get lost fast. The plan? It's everything.
So first things first, what even is Sitecore? Well, it's way more than just a simple website builder. You should think of it more like a central command center for your entire digital world. It lets you manage content, sure, but it also helps you understand your customers' data and create personalized experiences all from one spot.
All right, so here's the journey we're going to take today. We'll kick things off with the basics, then we'll map out that all-important planning phase. After that, we'll walk through the build, get everything ready for launch, and finally, we'll talk about what happens after you go live. You know, before we can even think about building anything, we've got to understand how the machine actually works. So let's pop the hood and take a look at Sitecore's core architecture.
So the most important thing to get here is this idea of a clean separation. On one side, you have your content management environment, or CM. This is the secure, lockdown backend where your team is actually creating and editing stuff. Then on the other side, you have the content delivery servers, the CD. These are the public-facing workhorses that serve up all that polished, finished content to your users. Keeping these two separate is absolutely key for security and performance.
Okay, so we get the basic architecture. Now we're at what is, without a doubt, the most critical part of this whole thing, drawing the project map. This is all about pre-implementation planning.
And I really can't say this enough. Getting this part right will save you from so many headaches later on. Seriously, rushing into coding without a clear plan, it almost always leads to wasted time, blown budgets, and a final product that doesn't even do what you needed it to do in the first place.
Planning really means getting down to the nitty-gritty. You have to sit down with everyone involved and define what success actually looks like. What are the main goals here? What specific features do you absolutely need? And just as important, what's a must-have versus a nice-to-have? This is also where you figure out your content structure and decide who gets permission to do what inside the system.
Now this slide shows a huge technical decision you'll have to make early on. Are you going with a traditional approach where your content and the design are kind of glued together? Or are you going to go headless where you separate your content from how it's presented? That gives you the flexibility to use APIs to push that same content to a website, a mobile app, maybe even a screen in a store, all from one source.
And the planning doesn't stop there. You've also got some big infrastructure choices to make. You'll need to pick your search technology, select the right Sitecore license, like do you need XP for the full-blown marketing and personalization suite, or is XM for pure content management enough? And of course, you have to decide where this whole thing is going to live, in the cloud or on your own servers.
All right, map in hand, it is finally time to start building. Let's break this down into 4 major steps.
The build really follows a pretty logical path. You start with the foundation, getting the development environment set up for your team. From there, you configure the core systems, like your databases and search. Then comes the fun part, building out the front-end experience that your users will actually see and interact with. And finally, you plug in any specialized tools you might need, like an e-commerce platform.
Okay, we are getting so close to the destination. We're on the home stretch now, and this is the crucial phase of testing and deployment. This is all about making sure we have a smooth, bug-free launch. Before you even think about flipping the switch to go live, you need a checklist, just like this one. You have to ask, is all the content loaded and looking right? Does every single button and form actually work? Is the site fast? Is it secure? Have the key business stakeholders given it the final thumbs up? And maybe most importantly, do you have a step-by-step plan for deployment and a backup plan to roll everything back if things go sideways? That last one is your safety net.
And we've arrived. The site is live, but listen, the journey is not over, not by a long shot. In a lot of ways, this is where the real work actually begins. Now, the focus shifts to maintenance and continuous improvement.
This right here is such a critical mindset shift. Your new website isn't some static project that you finish and just forget about. It's a living, breathing product that needs to be nurtured, monitored, and optimized over time to really deliver its full value.
So what does that actually look like? Well, it means the basics like routine maintenance and checking logs. It means having a clear process for support and planning for future upgrades. And of course, making sure your site can scale as your traffic grows. But it also means doing the exciting stuff, like leveraging powerful features like A/B testing to constantly tweak and improve the user experience. We've gone through the entire journey, from that initial map all the way to post-launch. But let's hit rewind for a second and talk about a huge piece of that planning phase, the investment. What does a platform like this really cost?
First up, you've got the license for the software itself. Now, depending on the version and all the features you need, you're typically looking at an annual cost that starts somewhere in the range of $60,000 to $80,000.
Then, on top of that license fee, you have the cost for the actual implementation. The strategy, the design, the development, and all the integration work. For a pretty typical mid-sized project, this often lands somewhere between $150,000 and $300,000.
And there you have it. Look, a successful Sitecore implementation is a major undertaking. There's no doubt about it. But it's also an incredibly rewarding one. By following a structured roadmap, you can navigate all that complexity and unlock the immense potential this platform has to offer. And the first step, as always, is just having that map.